It seems the age of extravagance has come to an end. You're watching The Gilded Age Part 2. After witnessing the extravagant lifestyles of America's elite, it's time to pull back the curtain on the unseen cost of this opulent era. Our scene opens with a stark visual of crowded, dirty tenements. The sound of a factory whistle blows, followed by the clanking of machinery. We hear the narrator's voice, now more somber and reflective than before. He says the glittering society of the Gilded Age was only one side of the coin. For every mansion built on Fifth Avenue, there were 100 tenements in the city slums. This was the untold story of the American worker, a life of relentless toil and crushing poverty. We see a series of black and white photos of the period, including close-ups of workers on factory floors. Many of them women and children, highlighting their exhaustion and weariness. The visuals also show cramped, unsanitary living spaces within the tenement buildings, emphasizing the harsh realities of urban poverty during the Gilded Age. As the narrator continues, his words paint a grim picture of the working conditions. And we can see that these images evoke a strong emotional response. He says while the industrialists lived like royalty, their employees worked for meager wages, often in dangerous, unsanitary conditions. The factories were death traps, with little regard for safety, as the hours were long, the pay was abysmal, and the threat of unemployment was a constant shadow. It's this stark divide between the haves and the have-nots fueled a boiling resentment. These powerful images are juxtaposed against the lavish lifestyle depicted in Part 1, emphasizing the stark contrast between the lives of the wealthy elite and the working class during this era. We then see archival photos of child labor, some showing children working in dangerous conditions or operating heavy machinery, underscoring the exploitation of the most vulnerable members of society. A quick montage of newspaper headlines and illustrations follows, depicting labor strikes and protests. These visuals show workers taking a stand against the oppressive working conditions and demanding change. The montage culminates in an image of a bloody confrontation between workers and authorities, symbolizing the violent suppression of labor movements during this time. As the narration continues, we hear the word struggle repeated several times, emphasizing the hardships faced by the working class in their fight for basic rights and dignity. The scene ends with a somber reflection on the cost of progress during the Gilded Age, leaving us to contemplate the human cost of rapid industrialization and economic inequality. Now we turn our attention to the digital artwork. Here we see a drawing of the Homestead Strike of 1892, which resulted in a violent clash between striking workers and private security guards hired by the Carnegie Steel Company. The drawing depicts a tense standoff between the two groups, highlighting the volatile nature of the labor unrest during this era. On the left side of the artwork, we see armed guards standing in front of a factory, facing off against a group of striking workers. The workers, with their hands raised, appear determined, but also vulnerable. In the center of the image, there's a fallen worker, suggesting the deadly consequences of this confrontation. The overall composition of the drawing creates a sense of tension and conflict, emphasizing the struggle between labor and management during the Gilded Age. The inclusion of this event in the artwork adds a visceral element to the narrative, reminding us of the human cost of the era's rapid industrialization. Next, we see an illustration depicting the Haymarket riot in Chicago, which took place in 1886 when a labor demonstration turned into a violent clash between protesters and police. The illustration shows a crowd of protesters gathered in front of a building, with police advancing towards them in formation. In the foreground, we see a bomb being thrown, symbolizing the eruption of violence during the riot. The artwork effectively captures the chaotic atmosphere of the event, with figures running in all directions and smoke billowing from the point of impact. This scene serves as a reminder of the social unrest and labor activism that characterized the Gilded Age. Finally, we see a drawing of two journalists, likely inspired by muckraking journalist Jacob Riis, who documented the harsh living conditions in New York City's slums through his photography. In the drawing, one journalist takes notes while the other points towards a tenement building, suggesting their investigative work. The artwork highlights the role of journalism in exposing the social problems of the time, such as poverty and overcrowding in urban areas. Overall, the artwork effectively complements the narrative by providing visual representations of key events and themes from Part 2. The dramatic scenes of the Homestead Strike and Haymarket Riot vividly depict the struggles faced by workers during the Gilded Age. Meanwhile, the image of the journalists pays tribute to those who fought for social change and exposed the harsh realities of life during this era. The inclusion of these historical events and figures adds depth and context to the story, allowing viewers to better understand the challenges and triumphs of the time. Now let's move on to part 3 of our video. But before we do, if you've enjoyed this animated journey through history so far, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support means a lot to us and helps us bring these stories to more people, so thank you for your support. Now let's continue the story. After witnessing the stark realities of life during the Gilded Age, we see that the spirit of reform and change was brewing. The moral rot of the Gilded Age could not be contained forever. A new force emerged: organized labor, driven by workers' solidarity and a vision for a better future. As the industrial titans amassed extraordinary wealth, the plight of the average worker became increasingly dire. Long hours, low wages, and unsafe working conditions were the norm, prompting a surge in labor organizations. The American Federation of Labor emerged as a beacon of hope, uniting workers across industries and backgrounds. Led by skilled leaders like Samuel Gompers, the AFL championed the cause of the working class, demanding fair treatment and decent working conditions. In the face of adversity, the workers found strength in numbers. The Great Railroad Strike of 1877 was a pivotal moment. As tens of thousands of railroad workers walked off the job, united in their fight for better wages, the strike resonated across the country, inspiring solidarity and sympathy among Americans from all walks of life. However, as we see in part 2, the path to progress was fraught with challenges. The relentless pursuit of profit often came at the expense of workers' rights and safety. The Homestead Strike of 1892 was a watershed moment, marking a turning point in the struggle for labor rights. The violent clash between workers and private security forces at the Carnegie Steel Company's Homestead plant near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, shocked the nation. The aftermath of the strike led to the deaths of 10 workers and ushered in an era of heightened tensions between labor and management. Similarly, the Pullman Strike of 1894, which began with a boycott of Pullman cars after a wage cut, led to the arrest of striking workers by federal troops under the direction of Attorney General Richard Olney, highlighted the stark disparity in power between the two sides. Yet despite the setbacks, the spirit of labor activism continued to grow. The formation of new unions, including the United Mine Workers of America and the Industrial Workers of the World, gave voice to the voiceless and fostered a sense of community among the working class. The ideas of socialism and communism also found fertile ground during this time, attracting intellectuals and labor leaders alike. The Socialist Labor Party, founded in 1876, advocated for a more equitable distribution of wealth and an end to capitalist exploitation. As we see in part 2, the struggle for labor rights was not just about economic justice. It was a fight for basic human dignity and the right to a fair shake. Despite facing brutal suppression and violence, the workers stood firm, determined to create a better future for themselves and their families. Their resilience and determination laid the groundwork for future generations to continue the fight for social justice and economic equality. Yet amidst this struggle, a new breed of journalists, known as muckrakers, emerged, fearlessly exposing the corruption and injustice that plagued American society. Ida Tarbell, with her meticulous documentation of Standard Oil's ruthless business practices, laid bare the dark side of corporate greed and laid the groundwork for antitrust action against the oil giant. Meanwhile, Stin Sinclair's The Jungle shocked the nation with its graphic depiction of the meatpacking industry's unsanitary practices, leading to widespread reform and the passage of the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act of 1906. But the fight for a better America did not end there. The publication of The Shame of the Cities by Lincoln Steffens exposed the rampant political corruption that permeated urban governments, inspiring reform movements and leading to the rise of new ethical standards in public service. As the voices of labor and muckrakers grew louder, the Gilded Age finally gave way to the Progressive Era, a period of profound social and political reform. The Progressive Movement, with its focus on addressing inequality, curbing corporate power, and improving working conditions, carried forward the legacy of the Gilded Age's struggle for a more just and equitable society. The great fortunes of the era were the foundation of modern America, but the struggles of the working class were its true crucible. The Gilded Age remains a stark reminder that immense prosperity, without a commitment to equity, is just a shiny facade hiding a painful reality. And so our journey through the Gilded Age comes to an end. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to our channel to stay updated on our latest historical adventures. And if you want to dive deeper into the stories of the past, check out our other videos. Till next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember, history is always closer than you think. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button to show your support. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps us keep bringing these historical tales to life. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.